Jagradav. Jai Masters. Like most things on this plane, yoga is very misunderstood. The truth is that yoga has nothing to do with the asanas. Yoga has nothing to do with mantras. Yoga has nothing to do with meditation. Those are applications of yoga. They are ways that people have developed to work with what yoga is about. But what yoga is about is energy, Shakti. And it is the only science, the most robust science anyways, of human knowledge that is about that energy. Now, we don't mean the energy of physics, because obviously modern physics knows more about that than ancient yogis. What we mean is the energy inside yourself, your inner energy. What does that mean? There are times you feel joy. There are times you feel upliftment. There are times you feel enthusiasm, excitement, inspiration. That is an energetic time. That's an energetic experience. It's high. The energy is high. You smile because the energy is pushing your cheeks up. You feel upliftment. Your heart is light. All of these things, experiences that you have, because there is energy rushing up inside of you. When somebody gets really high, they don't want to eat, they don't want to talk. You get really high, you can't even talk. You get sucked into the energy. The energy is really beautiful. You have had beautiful experiences with the energy. In intimacy, moments of intimacy, the energy can get very, very strong. And you love to lose yourself in it. That's why you like it. Everything is that. So there can be high energy. We're not going to discuss whether there's energy or not. You know there's energy. That is energy. There are other times that there are very low energy. You are depressed. You are not inspired. You are bored. You don't even want to get up out of bed. You don't even want to have anything to do with anybody. You just are tired. You have no energy. You're like a wet dish rag. Now, you have all had these experiences. That is the energy we are talking about. I don't want to compare it with physics. I just want to say, you know that that's a difference in your energetic state. We'll just call it your energetic state, okay? We haven't talked about where it comes from or what it is, but you certainly have experienced it, all right? That it can be very high what? High energy, and very low energy. What studies that energy? Because it's not physics. And the answer is yoga. I want you to see yoga as a science, not as a practice. It is a science of studying that energy. Where does it come from? What's it made of? Why is it there sometimes and not there other times? Is there anything I can do about it? Because if I had my way, it'd stay high all the time. How about you? You'd be excited and enthused and turned on, and I would never get low or tired out or whatever the heck it is. What is going on in there? What is the science of this energy? The yoga science starts thousands of years before Christ. The Upanishads, the ancient writings, they studied and talk about this energy. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is not that old, but is very old, that's all he talks about, is how to work with that energy and what is that energy. I want you to see yoga as the science of the inner energy. So, first of all, why would yogis know about it, especially thousands of years ago? They didn't have instruments to measure it. Because they're in there. They live in there. So do you. You have the right to watch your energy and write a book about it, don't you? All right? You probably could write a book about it. You could write a book about my years in depression or my years of high, and you would describe what it was like living in there. Well, what the yogis did, the ancient ones, who were really interested in this energy, that's what they were interested in, this energy, is they found that if they get distracted by outside things, they can't focus on the energy as much. So they went into caves. They went into periods of isolation and took silence and did all kinds of things, weird things, extreme things, in order to have the consciousness and the focus to watch and isolate. It's like a scientist isolates variables. They go into their lab and they isolate out variables, and then they start to study what's happening. You can't see it when it's all moving so fast. So yoga is the same thing. These masters, these ancient yogis, went into the caves and went into solitude, And they watched themselves. Buddha did the same thing. They watched inside instead of outside to see the changes in the energy. That's not enough. You can watch the energy, but you learn more, as much or more, when you watch how the outside world affects your energy. So that becomes part of the dynamic of yoga. There are branches of yoga. It's karma yoga. Your interaction with the outside world, how is it affecting your energy? The Bhagavad Gita is all about this. It's all about the interaction of your inner being with the outside world and how it affects your inner state, how it affects your energy. So let's get down to it. What is it that you would find if you bothered looking? A lot of it you found all by yourself. Nobody had to do anything. One, there is energy inside, but not always. Very good. We're going to discuss that. Two, it seems as though that energy is affected by the outside. It seems as though when all of a sudden you get up Christmas morning and somebody bought you a brand new car that you were dying for, that even though you were tired and a little bit depressed, it changed, didn't it? So we're being scientists now. Somehow this new car caused your energy to change. And all of a sudden you have all this enthusiasm and all of this energy. And somehow, if you go out there to drive it and it doesn't start, it loses the energy. That's fascinating. How can something outside of you cause this energetic change inside of you? You do agree it does, doesn't it? Somebody can be nice to you. You get all excited. You feel all the nice energy. You have words for it. Scientists talk about molecules becoming excited. Really, that's part of physics. Well, you get excited too, don't you? It's an energetic state. In your case, it's inside. You don't get excited when there's no energy, do you? No. So basically, the things happen outside, and you see that they change your inner state. Other things happen outside, they change your inner state. And so you see there's this connection between the outside and the inside. Before we talk about why and why it is that the outside can affect the inside, let's just stay solid. We know that it does. Do you understand those two facts? We're building our principles of science here. The two facts that we've said so far, which is there is energy in there and it is affected by the outside. You know that, don't you? You don't always think of it that way. Can I tell you that? If I stop right there, I've described your entire life and everything you will have for the rest of your life if you don't be careful. Why? I've had past experiences that have stimulated my energy, but that doesn't stay. Other things happen and goes. I want those again. How about you? So all of a sudden, my whole purpose of life has changed because I had an experience that lifted me. So now I want those experiences to happen again. And basically, more and more, I find myself in a situation of getting energy off of trying to make the thing happen that I think will give me energy. Was that too complicated? Right? These are ways that the energy changes. Isn't that amazing? So the thing hasn't even now happened outside, but because it happened before, and by the way, it didn't even have to happen to you. You could have watched it in a movie and seen somebody else get all excited and said, I want that. And now when it starts to happen, or you see the possibility of getting it, what happens to you? You get excited because you think it's going to make you excited. This is all very subtle stuff of what's affecting the energy flow. And the same thing with being down. If something happened to you that turned you off, we use the words. I love it. The 60s was full of these words, all right? What does it mean for someone to turn you off? They turned off the energy. It went down. Hey, that's a real downer. The lingo of the 60s was just full of this stuff because everybody was into the energy or into the inner state. So basically, when something happens to you that brings you down, now anything that reminds you of that, anything that either starts to be like that or you even think about it or something reminds you of it, you go down and you get all weird. You do get weird, don't you? You get weird if it turns you on, you get weird if it turns you off. So either way, it had this effect on your energy flow, and you are very, very attached to your energy flow. You are more addicted to the flow of that energy than drug addicts are to their drugs. That's what you live for. You tell me, oh, I live to meet somebody. What if he turns you off? Well, I don't need to meet him. You do not live to meet somebody. You do not live to get married. I'm not telling you not to. I'm telling you, you don't. You're lying to yourself. You do not live to look young again. You do not live to go to Hawaii. You do not live to do these things. It's not true. You live for the Shakti. You live for the energy flow. But because you don't know a single thing about the energy flow, and no one will talk to you like this, you think I'm after the object itself. But you're not. If that object turned you off, you would not want it. It is because you think the object will turn you on. Period. That's why 50% of all marriages in the United States end up in divorce. Why? I thought it was going to work, but it didn't. They're perfectly normal. What does irreconcilable differences mean? He used to turn me on, now he doesn't. It's all about you liking the energy more than you like your husband or your wife or your kids or anything else, or your job. You got a great job. Yeah, but I'm just not excited about it anymore. Pay attention. If all of a sudden you went to work and they gave you a different chore to do and it turns you on, oh, I love my job. You do not love your job. You do not love your husband. You do not love your wife. You love love. You love the flow of the energy. If they were behaving in a way that made you not feel the love, you would not say, I love you at that moment. What you mean when you say, I love you, is I am experiencing love in your presence. Please listen. Otherwise, you waste your whole life chasing the wrong thing. You chase what you think will turn your energy on, and you try to avoid what you think will turn it off. That's what your mind does all day. It just tries to think, what do I want? What do I not? What do you think wants and not wants are? You think wants and not wants are holy? Wants and not wants are nothing. The lowest thing you can deal with is your wants and not wants. What you did is develop with your mind, which you use as an advisor. Perfectly, it's a very smart thing. You use it. You go to your mind, you say, figure out what will turn me on. And when it says, get a new job, then that's what you want. That's what you prefer. Right or wrong. If it says lose a few pounds, if it says whatever it is, I guarantee you whatever it said, it thought that if it happened, it would give you energy. And at no time is it saying, go get what will turn you off. It'll tell you to avoid what turns you off. So your likes and dislikes are founded upon your mental image of what will give you energy and what will take your energy away. And if you will watch, I beg you, you will see that's all your mind's doing all day. Trying to think about how to be okay, how to get energy. That's why you're defensive and protective. If somebody says something that you think will take your energy away, they insult you, they challenge you, they criticize you, you don't want it to come in. I don't want this coming in me because it's going to take my energy away. No way. And you resist it. And that's called defensiveness. I did not do that. What are you talking about? You know you did. I did not do that. Basically, you try to negate the effect that it would have on you by practicing denial, by pushing away, by fighting back. Everybody understand? So I'm telling you that every single thing every single person is doing is because they want the energy. They're just doing it different ways, but they don't see that. They say they want the thing. They want the object or don't want the object or the event or experience or whatever that they think will either give them energy or take it away. So the yogis watch very carefully, again, by isolating themselves. You realize, hey, it's shifting in here with nothing causing it to. All right? Sometimes it gets, can it? You can be by yourself. You go through all kinds of changes, highs and lows and so on. So the question is, what's causing this? And the main thing is, if what you care about is this energy flow, if that's what you want, what yoga is saying to you is since it's inside, and since the changes are happening inside, why don't you figure out how to get it inside? It's not outside. You're leaving it up to somebody else for you to feel love. Why? It's your love. You leave it up to a special person to open your heart. Don't you? They got to bring you flowers. They got to say nice things. They got to dote over you. They got to open the door for you. Whatever. It takes them doing something because your heart is not naturally open. What yoga says is, then open it. You want to feel love? Why close your heart and then expect somebody else to open it? It's the funniest thing in the world. So the whole gambit comes around. I want energy. There are shifts in my energy. I don't know a single thing about them. And nobody taught me, not a single class you took in school that talked about this, period. And yet it's the most important thing in your entire life, isn't it? You're devoting your life to it. You always have. And yet no one will talk to you about it because they don't understand. So you have energy, it can go through changes, and all you know is you've had experiences where the outside world can lift you or the outside world can bring you down. And now you have devoted your life to trying to manipulate the outside world so the things that will bring you up happen and the things that will bring you down don't happen. Have I described it? Did I miss anybody? That is what every single person is doing. And it's all predicated upon these shifts in energy. Again, yoga is very simple. It just says, good, I understand. Of course you want to be high. Why in the world are you doing it secondhand? Why are you sitting there expecting outside situations to happen for you to feel your inner energy take place? And the answer is very straightforward, because that's my experience. I never had another experience. That's how a normal human being would answer that, if they even understood what I'm talking about. Because the only time I ever got happy is when someone doted over me and told me how wonderful I was, and everybody clapped, and it was wonderful. And when I walked into the room, and they all got quiet with a lot of respect. Oh, I like that respect stuff, right? RESPECT. It's like, it's how I got it. When I got the toy I wanted, it turned me on. When I didn't get it, it made me really angry. Ever since my earliest years, there were things from outside that made me feel good inside. And there were things from outside that made me feel bad inside. Therefore, I am programmed to think that that's the only way it happens. And that's how people think. If I'm feeling bored, and well, redecorate your house. Okay, I'm not saying it's not going to work a little bit, but I guarantee you a year later, it's going to look redecorated. You're going to be just as bored as you were before. It doesn't change anything. It just temporarily changes the energy because you're excited about it. Now, let's get more scientific. Why does the outside affect the inside? I don't even understand. I'm inside. I live in here, don't you? I live inside. Hi. And inside with me, there's this energy. Why does the fact that it's going to rain tomorrow affect how I feel, affect my energy? It hasn't even happened yet. But I guarantee you, if you're going on some vacation tomorrow and go to the beach and you hear there's going to rain tomorrow, you get sad. Why? How can the rain affect how you feel inside? It doesn't rain inside. It rains outside. Why does the outside affect the inside? And what determines which way it will affect it? How's that for a scientific challenge? Why does it do it? And how come you get turned on when you hear it's going to rain and you get turned off when you hear it's going to rain? All right? Yoga understands that. It's very straightforward. You have had experiences in the past that raised your energy. Nobody says that getting what you wanted does not raise your energy. Nobody says that not getting what you wanted doesn't lower your energy, and getting what you don't want lowers your energy, and not having to get what you don't want is a relief, and your energy feels better. Nobody's saying that's not true. Things have vibrations. They come in, you have different experiences. The problem is as follows. You don't let those experiences pass through. You hold on to them. If something bothers you, it's still in there. You know that. Okay, you didn't let it go. Somebody said something to you doing so much fun. You wait next time you see that person, see how you feel. How about that? There's an example. You got a friend, you've been getting along really fine, everything's wonderful, and then all of a sudden they behave in a way that it was irritating or insulting or uncomfortable to you, and 3 days go by without seeing them. I want to see how you feel next time you see them. Because it's not going to be the same as you felt before they said that. And it took them 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 20 seconds to say it. Right or wrong? Okay. Now we're getting down to science. So what is happening is experiences happen. And like I said, nobody's denying that somebody insulting you or dissing you or not saying hello to you who's a friend, whatever it is, that these vibrations come in and they don't feel so good. Everything, Buddhists say, everything has its nature. Don't deny the nature of things. Okay? If somebody walks up to you and yells at you, says, I hate your guts. I can't even believe, get, you shouldn't even be born. I want you out of the gene pool. Okay? And somebody insults you like that and says something like that, it's not going to feel good. I don't care who you are. It's not, they didn't want it to feel good. They wanted it to feel bad. Okay? Like I told you, the perfect example is a rattlesnake curling up and rattling. That doesn't feel good. It wasn't meant to feel good. That rattlesnake don't want it feeling good. He wants you to be scared to death. That person sent off some heavy vibes. Those vibes came in there. It's okay. Yoga's not denying. Yep, there it is. That's not the problem. The problem is not that temporarily, while that person is expressing their garbage onto you, dumping onto you, that there isn't this feeling of discomfort. But when they stop, because they did stop. I mean, they didn't just stand there for 3 days. All right? They stood there for 30 seconds or whatever it was and dumped because they had a bad day. Who cares why they said it? Right? My favorite part is they do all that and they say, oh, Oh, are you George? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I guarantee you, even when you're not George, for those 30 seconds, it felt just as bad as if you were George. See? It had a vibration. Came in. The problem is not, and this is the most important thing I ever teach you, the problem is not that took place. Things take place. My God, the world's full of everything, isn't it? Everything takes place. Just like there's lots of weather, there's lots of people, and there's lots of events, and there's lots of circumstances, and not a thing you can do about it. If you happen to be standing in the part of the universe where somebody who's upset is standing, you're going to know something about it. That's all there is to it. So basically it comes in, you experience it. Yoga asks the question, not why does it feel bad? It feels bad. The question is when he stops talking and he goes his way and you take a breath, why does it still hurt? And then why does it hurt all day? And then why do you have to call up your friends and kind of, let's get together tonight. I'm not feeling really good, because you want to get something to offset the energy. So now your whole behavior pattern is predicated upon the fact that you have this thing stuck inside of you. Can I use that word? Stuck inside of you? It is stuck inside of you, isn't it? All day. Why would they say such a thing? I didn't do anything. This is not fair. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't put up with this, right? The experience is not even happening anymore. Why is it happening inside of you? The trouble is it's so natural that you look at me like I'm crazy to even question it. Because I'm telling you, if it's not happening outside, it should not be happening inside. How about I say that? Lately I've been using an example just to break you free of this. There's somebody out in the field during the day. You can go out there. They're not really there. Somebody's out in the field over there, freaking out, pulling their hair out, running around, screaming, scared to death. You say, what's wrong? Napoleon, he's after me. I said, Napoleon? Napoleon's dead. He's not dead. He's right there. And you feel like, this guy's serious. He sees Napoleon. At least he thinks he does. All right? Not one of you think it's normal that somebody's freaking out over something that's not happening. All right, you're doing it all the time. That example I just gave you of that person that dumped on you for 30 seconds. For the next 3 days, if you're lucky 3 days, for the next 3 days, you're freaking out. Over what? Over something that's not happening. But it did happen. Everything did happen. I mean, give me a break. You can get upset about what Napoleon did or Stalin or Hitler or anything. You can get yourself good and messed up. A lot of stuff's happened. So basically, you start to look at it from a yogic point of view. The yogic point of view is very, very straightforward. It's very scientific. If it ain't happening outside, why is it happening inside? I didn't say it didn't happen, but it isn't happening. You were married once and you had a very bad relationship with your ex 22 years ago. It's not happening anymore. Why are you still in your mind having the arguments over and over again? Why when you go to a party say, no, is he coming? 20 years later, you don't want to see your ex? What's wrong with you? Nobody will say what's wrong with you. I understand. That's what their friends will say. Those are not friends. Those are other people that are scared by Napoleon. You get along really well. A wise person cops to the truth. If it is not happening, it should not be bothering me. But it is. And it's not just bothering me, it's bothering my energy. Every time I think about what that person dumped on me, I get sad and I get upset. It changes my energy flow, doesn't it? If I'm in love with somebody and all of a sudden they sit there and they talk to me and they say, oh, I met the nicest guy today, and describe the person who dumped on you, right? Not only now do you not like the person who dumped on you, you don't like the person you used to love 5 minutes ago. Wake up as to what's happening. The reason I belabor this is it explains everything. It explains why the outside affects the inside, other than the temporary moment of the experience. There's nothing wrong. Don't think you're not supposed to feel some fear or some anger or some this or some that. Different vibrations come in, they hit as they pass through, but then they're gone. I've been telling a story lately, which amazes me, that he actually said, one of the great masters who we respect here at the temple, his picture's above the door there, Ramakrishna, lived in the late 1800s. Fully enlightened. I mean, I can't even talk about him. These beings are really high. He was a very, very high being. Somebody once asked him, Master, does a saint ever feel anger? And they were shocked by his answer. He said, well, yes, of course. He said, but it's like riding on water. You ever ride on water? Can anybody read it? The moment your finger marks, it's gone. There's not a mark. There's no. That's how. So if for a moment anger is happening or appropriate, whatever it is, somebody says something, you feel something, it's gone as soon as it happens. There's no mark. It doesn't leave a mark. It doesn't leave anything inside of you. So that's how it's supposed to be. That's a healthy state. But we're not healthy. And so what happens is the event takes place, even something as small as rain when we don't want it, or somebody not saying hello, or that basically it comes in, you experience it, but then you don't let it go. It is not true. It is not like riding on water. It is like chiseling concrete. That sucker stays, all right? And the next time you see that person, your heart goes like this, and you get weird, you don't know what to do, and you feel uncomfortable. And the next time you walk by the place that they said it, even though the person's not there and it was 4 days ago, you say, I don't want to go that way. Let's go this way. Why? I just feel more comfortable going that way. And you wouldn't even cop to what's going on. You kept it inside of you. All right. Now, once you understand that you keep energies that come in from outside, you block them inside of you by resisting them. I don't want to feel it, so I push it away. When you push it away, it stays inside of you. Now I can explain everything. Because now what happens, you're sensitive in that area. You have a soft spot. Got a few of those? Topics, subjects, people, things, places, whatever it is, where you stored these experiences. Now anything that comes in from outside that reminds you, or even abstractly, obtusely associated with that, it reactivates that vibration. And you feel it. You can be perfectly happy, full of energy. You're visiting your new boyfriend's parents' house, and it's just great, and everyone's getting along. You walk into the kitchen, and you smell something that reminded you of what your mother was cooking the day she fell over with a heart attack 8 years ago. I guarantee you that's the end of that evening. You are not happy anymore. You are not filled with love and joy. You may make it through. And you say, that's normal, that's natural. No, it's not. No, it's not normal or natural. It's usual, but it's not what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have processed that. You're supposed to have come to peace with that. You're supposed to have released that. So that if you smell a smell and it reminds you of something, if anything, it brings up a sense of closeness, a sense of wholeness, a sense of, what we used to call a gestalt. You're finished with it. Same thing with a divorce. You got divorced. It was a terrible situation, but it was 8 or 10 years ago, and somebody mentions the guy to you, and just this warmth comes up in you. You had this whole experience with this person. You were in love with them. Then it went awry, but you learned a lot from it. You learned a lot from the interactions, what part you did, what you could have done. You learned. And now it's over, and you maybe talk to him, maybe you don't. He moved away, went to Europe. But somebody brings up the subject. It's not like you feel hatred and anger and all that junk is still in there. There's this sense of, wow, you heard from Paul? How's he doing? Isn't that how it's supposed to be? The problem is we store it inside, and we don't finish it, and we don't let it go. And so now anytime you hear the name Paul, anytime you hear somebody's getting divorced, anytime you hear somebody's getting married, you feel sorry for them. Anytime you feel passed down the neighborhood where you used to live, somebody mentions the state you used to live in, you're in trouble. Anything that has anything to do with it can hit it, and the next thing you know, your energy has shifted. Remember I said the outside can affect the inside? This is why the outside affects the inside. Now, I'm not talking about the natural, just the vibration comes in and passes through. It's not affecting the inside. It's just the way it was a moment ago. Like you all, something happens in a relationship and somebody behaves in a way and there's a little discord that stays for a while. Yogi, it's like riding on water. It goes over. There's nothing. There's nobody to say they're sorry. Nobody has to do anything. Okay, that's healthy. But we're not healthy. Because we resist these things and we store them inside. They're called samskaras in yoga. In the ancient 1,000 years ago, they talked about this. These stored things inside. Freud was not the first to talk about suppression. Yogis described these samskaras, these impressions that you kept inside of you, both positive and negative. The negative means it was a bad experience. I did not want to experience it, so I resisted it. Because I resisted it, it stayed inside of me. Every time it tries to come back up, I push it back down. How about you? I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to feel like that. And I avoid, do whatever I can. Basically, people are avoiding situations that would hit their stuff. It's bad enough that it hits your stuff affects you. Now you have to avoid situations that you think will hit your stuff. Well, pretty soon you screwed your whole life up. You're being haunted by the ghosts of the past. Those are negative samskaras. Then there are these ones that you don't like to hear about. When people have more trouble when I talk about that. Positive samskaras. What is that? Something really beautiful happened. That's wonderful. right? You mind your own business and beautiful energy came in, whatever it was. I know people that had spiritual experience. They saw the angels in Christ and then it went away and they're not okay ever since because I want it to come back. That's a positive samskara at the extreme. There are beautiful experiences where the energy gets freed and flows up inside. Okay? The question is, what are you doing about it? Because in most people's cases, whether it be that, or whether it be a boyfriend or girlfriend that really turned them on and then left, whatever it is, or they went and visited Hawaii and now they don't want to come home, that's a positive samskara. You have stored something inside of you didn't want to let it go. It was so beautiful that you don't want to let it go. The other was so ugly you don't want to experience it. This one was so beautiful you don't want to let it go. So you're either resisting or clinging. Buddhists call it clinging, holding on to it. If you hold on to a positive experience, you have ruined the rest of your life because you're not open to a new experience. So you're holding on to the experience, or you had a beautiful relationship with a particular person and they really left a big impression on you, how beautiful somebody can be towards you and so on. Now everyone you meet, you're looking for that person. Or worse yet, you're making a collage of all the ones you liked, and that's what you mean by your soulmate. So you've ruined your life. Now you can't experience new people. Now you can't have new experiences because you're comparing them against the positive experience you had. I'm not telling you not to have positive experiences. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I just want to make sure we understand what's going on. So now by the time I have stored the handful of very positive experiences, and I'm comparing everything against that, and the myriad of negative experiences, we have time. It's my favorite discussion. But why does it seem there are so many more negative experiences than positive ones? Because as follows. You define what it is you want to experience based on your past experiences. You have likes and dislikes, preferences, hopes and dreams. Hopes, dreams, likes, dislikes, and preferences, desires, are all the same thing. They are your mind having made up what you think needs to happen for you to be okay. Then you say, I hope it happens. Then you say, I dream that someday it will happen. Then you say, I would like it to happen. You have a concept, a view, that this is what will make me happy. And that's what hopes, dreams, likes, and preferences are. What's it based on? Past experience. What else would it be based on? You're not making it up. It's based on your past experiences. That's how you know what you think will make you happy. All right? If I could only meet somebody again like George, it was such a good time of my life. God, if we could get just a bigger house. Last time we got a bigger house, it really was great. We got along well. If we could have another child. Remember, we weren't getting along so well, and then we had Johnny. Do you hear what I'm saying? Your past experiences have left the impressions because you didn't let them go, and now those impressions become the fodder, the fuel, the data upon which your mind builds these concepts of hopes and dreams and views and visions and likes and dislikes. Okay. And we got that down. Now, here's what happens. There's only a few things that you think are going to turn you on. The list is not so big. I don't care if it's 5 or 10 or 15 or 12. It varies, all right? It's a handful of things. How many, now listen to me, I'm making you be a scientist. At any given moment, how many possible things could happen in the universe in front of you? How about 700 trillion? Anything can happen in front of you. Anything. But only 5 of those will turn you on. You listen to me. All the rest don't turn you on. Now, it's not just that they're neutral. Since I want to meet the person who I'm dreaming of, and I met you and it's not it, and I met you and it's not it, I'm having negative experiences. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting upset. I wonder why God doesn't love me. I wonder if I'll ever find him or her. So, yes, it's true that to get what you want turns you on. To not get what you want turns you off. Now, I've just showed you from a probability point of view, the probability of you getting what you want at any given moment is slim to nil. 5 out of 700 billion is a very small percentage. The probability of you not getting what you want is 700 billion minus 5. 5 over 700 billion minus 5. That's why it appears there are more negative experiences. Because you have defined negative as anything that doesn't match what you want. Here's a new house. You got your concepts, right? Walk in the new house. You got a new house. Unbelievable. You walk in. Oh, my God. You walk in and all of a sudden you go in the kitchen. Oh, that island that's way smaller than I thought. No. I can't. One thing That's a negative experience. You buy a new car. It's gorgeous. Gets a little scratch. I mean a magnifying glass. Wait a minute, is that a scratch? That's the end of your car. That's the end of your day. Do you see why there's more negative? You're making it that way. You're defining everything in the world as negative unless it happens to be exactly what you want. And it never is. And I didn't even talk about what happens if it just happens to be what you don't want. Whoa, you really freak out over that, right? So by the time you're done with getting what you don't want and not getting what you want, you're having a lot of negative experiences, aren't you? You're doing it. It's not true that the world is more negative than positive. Guess what it is? Neither. It just is. Is the weather good or bad? That's like saying, is it okay that Saturn has rings? That's my favorite. I've never met the person that tried to answer that question, saying things true of everything. Do you understand that? Okay. So now we understand we experience life much more negatively than positively. Therefore, it leaves these negative impressions. Therefore, we got so many of those suckers. You drive down the street, somebody's not driving in front of you the way you want them to. They're going too fast. They're going too slow. Whatever it is. That's your day. Bye-bye. You can do it, can't you? You can get upset enough to tell everybody about it. You should have seen this person, like 15 miles an hour below the speed limit. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to get to work here. Come on, buddy. Right? And you're freaking yourself out over something that's none of your business. It's none of my business? No, it's none of your business. That is no more your business how the person who's driving in front of you than whether Saturn has rings. You can't do anything about either one of them. They have nothing to do with you. Right? And now, why do we get so upset about nothing? The tiniest little things. Because we have suppressed and held all this energy inside. Of all the experiences we didn't want to have, we pushed them away. They don't sit in there quietly, just like your little volcano over there in Hawaii doesn't sit very quietly, does it? It needs to release, just like that does. You have all this energy down there. So what is road rage? How in the world that somebody beeps at somebody in L.A. and somebody's stopping the car, getting out with a shotgun and shooting them? What in the world is that? That is literally rage. What is rage? The energy is suppressed inside. It needs a way to come out. Somebody just provided a channel. All it needs for the mind to say, that's absurd. I'm not going to let him treat me like that. I dare. Now the mind just justified all this garbage releasing itself. So it explains everything. Everything we're talking about the entire night is energy. Energies from outside coming in, you resisting them with the force of will, which is energy, holding them inside. Now they need to release. They come back up because things stimulate them. This is why the outside affects the inside. Do I need to go into more detail or do you get it? Because the outside affects your inside different than hers, and it will affect it differently tomorrow because you read an article in the paper today or watched a TV show. Wake up to what's happening. You're leaving some scars inside of you. And so now when the outside comes in, it hits it and it flares up. And you become weird. So what do you do about it? It's not very logical. And then I'm going to move on to what you should be doing about it. Yoga. All right? But what do you do about it? When it gets like that, or you know it's going to be like that, your solution is to go to the very mind that is causing all the trouble. The mind that's complaining, the mind that's releasing all these stored up energies. You go to the mind that's jealous. It's jealous. It's in a jealous rage. And ask it, what should I do? You do it with anger, you do it with jealousy, you do it with all these things. What should I do? And that mind is always going to tell you to go outside and change the way it is going on so that when it comes in, it stops bothering you. Whatever methodology, manipulate the outside so that when it comes in, you're not as disturbed, so it doesn't hit your stuff. How does the world need to unfold so it doesn't hit your bad stuff and does hit your good stuff? Now go out there, manipulate, control, and fight and struggle. All right, and now how much fun is life? The very act of fighting uses up the energy you're trying to get to feel good. If you go out there and manipulate somebody to get them to love you, they don't love you. They love the fake thing you put out there, and you know it. And so you still feel insecurity. You still feel the lack of deep love that somebody could really love you. So, all right, that way doesn't work. It does not work to waste your life serving this garbage that you stored inside so that the moments can happen, so they sometimes make you feel good, but not very often. And the rest of the time, you're just struggling, and then you start worrying. What do people worry about? That it won't be the way I want, or it will be the way I don't want. Isn't that what you worry about? I worry that it won't be the way I want or that it will be the way I don't want. All right. Now, what does yoga say about all this? Yoga gets quiet, just says, whoa. The energy you want is inside. Right now you're saying, I can't feel the energy because I've blocked it with all this stuff I have stored inside. And the only way that I can feel it is if you, the rest of you guys out there, behave in a way that when it comes inside of me, it doesn't hit my bad stuff. Then the energy can flow. I mean, it makes me tired to even talk like that. And so instead, yoga says, let's not play that game. There's something blocking my energy flow. And it turns out it's this stuff you stored inside. That's something you're going to get to know if you meditate. You'll watch. When you push something away that you didn't like, it actually goes somewheres. Freud called it the subconscious. There's no subconscious. There's just the part of your mind that you don't want to experience, the part you're not willing to look at. So you push it down there. It is actually blocking your energy flow. That's one of the greatest things. If you don't understand it, I'll tell it to you. At least listen to me. Your energy is very subtle. It's not physical energy. It's deep inner energy, spiritual, physical, psychic energy, call it whatever you want. It's energy. When you push away these samskaras, they are actually in the field where that energy flows. So therefore you can't open up. Therefore I'm closed because I don't think anybody can love me because Johnny left me and this and that. But if somebody comes and treats me just right, all of a sudden there's this opening. That's because you're opening up the blockage. It won't stay open, but temporarily it feels safe. You'll only open when you feel safe. And so it's conditional. And then you open and then the energy can flow. So you're feeling the beauty of the flow of the energy. But I'm telling you, it's not because of that person. It's because at this moment, that person is, you say, good chemistry. It's more physics. That person is interacting with your samskaric system, which is enormous. And somehow, for whatever reason, at this time, it's working. We mesh well. You're right, you mesh well. Don't worry, it won't last. That initial opening is going to stay there. The person's going to say something or do something or you're going to read something and you're not going to feel the same thing. Then the question becomes, can you maintain a relationship? All right? And you all say, relationships take a lot of work. Yeah, they take a lot of work because of what you're doing. You're trying to use them to fix yourself. Yoga says, fix yourself. There's only one way that you are going to be okay and get the energy you want, which is release those blockages. Do not let your energy flow be conditional upon what's happening outside. How do you do that? You just let the blockages go as they come up. This becomes, now you get down to technique. Yogis found out that certain asanas, putting your body in certain positions, help to release the energy. And it does. That's why it's so popular nowadays. They're not just doing it for exercise. They get up and people who knew nothing about it say, I want to go after my yoga class. I feel so peaceful afterwards. That's because those asanas and positions cause stretching where there's blockages and energy is released. And you're taught when you get into an asana where it is tension and tight, that it's a good thing and that you should relax your way into it. This act of relaxing and releasing is what you need to do to release these blockages. You should do the same thing. Anytime a blockage comes up, you should have reached the state of maturity to understand, I want it coming up. I want it coming up. I don't want it down there blocking my energy. I would rather not have the blockages and have my energy flowing all the time. Then if I get into a relationship, it's not about need. It's about I'm filled with love. You want some? I love sharing it. It's a wonderful experience. If I go to work, it's like, what do you want me to do? Here I am. I showed up. I'm so inspired and excited. Tell me what to do. Wouldn't that be fun? I guarantee you'll get the raise. You'll be the best employee anybody ever had. That enthusiasm, that excitement. You know what they teach models nowadays? It's not the makeup, it's not the eyes, it's the energy. It doesn't matter what your features are. Can you emanate that energy? And the answer is, if it's there, it's going to emanate itself. The yoga, in the end, is the science that understands that you have energy, why it flows sometimes and not others. Why do you get in moods? There are no moods. I can't believe you tolerate your moods. Forget somebody else's, right? But you tolerate your moods. The moods are all due to this. Just something happens and it shifts to samskara, and the next thing you know, you're edgy and you're this and that, right? And then all of a sudden, oh, I feel much better. Oh my God, I'm ready to take it on the world. What the heck's going on here? You have this stuff blocking your energy. So the deep teachings, when it's all said and done, the yogis saw all of this, and this is what they said. Get rid of that stuff. Get rid of that stuff. Instead of devoting your life to compensate for your blockages, Devote your life to getting rid of your blockages. It's an entire different life. If anything hits my stuff, it's a wonderful day. I want it out. If it hits it, I'm letting it go. I don't have to go down there fishing for it. It'll come up by itself. But every single time it comes up, and I mean every single time, the driver in front of you, the fact that it rained, whatever it is, these little things, start with the little things, are starting to irritate you, just realize this talk. Hey, I want my energy flow back. I want it to be so high all the time that I'm unconditionally intoxicated with it. I want it lifting me and raising me. And it ain't happening while this stuff's in there. I'm going to let it go. And what you do is you relax. That's how you let go. When it comes up, you relax. When it comes up, you relax. You keep relaxing every time, all day, while you're at work, everything. Somebody said to me, you mean if somebody's criticizing me, I'm supposed to relax right then? Of course you're supposed to relax. What, are you going to wait till you're freaked out and then relax later? No, just be there. They say to me, but I'm not conscious while that's happening. That's why you meditate. See, I told you, they're techniques. They're not yoga. Yoga is the science of the energy. It is the inner science of the energy. But then you have techniques for practicing what you learned. Meditation is practicing, transcending yourself, practicing watching these shifts that happen inside of you, and maybe practicing getting above them, whatever it is. The more you meditate, the more you do mantra, the more you do asanas, you're going to find out that you're there more and more. You know what I mean by there? Until eventually, you will never, ever leave your center. Never. Effortlessly. You will just find out that all day you're there. And you make every decision you want. Somebody says something, you let go, then you decide whether to deal with it or not. It's okay. That's not worth mentioning it. I do it all the time. 99% of the time, it's not worth mentioning it. You're better off. They're better off. Everybody's better off. Let it go. All right? But there are some times that you need to deal with it. But then you deal with it out of strength. You deal with it out of clarity. You don't deal with it out of reaction. You don't deal with it because you can't handle it. And in no condition ever should you be trying to deal with something outside because you can't handle it inside. Because that's not the right motive for dealing with something. You're just going to try and make yourself feel better. You should clean yourself out as best your ability, then see if there's something that needs to be dealt with and deal with it. So this becomes the entire process of purification. It is spiritual purification. You're just letting it go as it comes up, letting it go, and eventually, if you let enough go, and don't worry about the big stuff. Don't you dare tell me, I've got this big thing from 20 years. I'm not interested. I'm interested in the driver in front of you. I'm interested in the rain. I'm interested in the haircut didn't come out exactly the way you want. I'm interested in the fact you got a little zit on your cheek and dropped a little ketchup on your pants. Have to go back to work. Whatever the heck it is. I'm interested in all the tiny little things that you are bothering yourself about because you're bothered, and they're not worth it, are they? They're stealing your energy flow. If I could trade ecstatic energy for a piece of ketchup on my pants, I'll trade it every single time. So you just practice letting go. The stuff comes up, you let it go. And eventually you will let go enough to where you'll start to feel this joy well up inside of you, spontaneous joy for no reason. If you're really happy and they ask you, God, you look really happy, like what's happening? You say, I don't know. That's the one I want. Because if you know, it can change. If it's just happening spontaneously, naturally inside yourself, it's because you've been letting go of these blockages, and the energy will always flow up. It wants to flow up, but you're blocking it. You have to make it flow up. Again, to me, that's what Christ means. I will stand in the door and knock. Whoever will open, I will enter. It's the energy talking to you. It's the beauty of spiritual energy. It's pushing up inside, and eventually you'll feel it, and it will come up through the different centers. You don't have to know about the chakras. You'll know about them because they open by themselves. Those centers are really there, but they're blocked. As you release this stuff that's inside, they will open. You will feel them blossom. You'll feel them open. And then you go higher and higher, and you start becoming intoxicated all the time. The point is, you can have a beautiful life if you will work with your energy inside. So that's the bottom line. Yoga teaches you about the energy, that it's in there. It happens to teach you, by the way, there's infinite energy. You have no idea how high you can get. And so basically you get high and high. That's what the great masters, that's why they have these pictures on the wall. They got really high. And eventually you get high enough to answer the great question, which I won't do tonight. I usually do. I close off my talks to say, okay, well, that's really fascinating. Where's the energy coming from? Eventually you'll feel it flowing. It's not like you have to go grab it. It's flowing constantly by itself. And you start to wonder, wow, this is beautiful. What's the source? Like the springs have a source? What's the source of this flow? There's only one way you're going to find out. Get in and take the ride. All right? Yogananda once said, there is a river of joy flowing inside of you. Find it, go there, get in and drown. So the yogis, even back thousands of years BC, sat in those caves and let go. That's why Shiva has the flow coming up the top of his head. All of this symbolizes the Shakti going up and releasing through the highest state of enlightenment. So then you've let go and the flow took you with it. You lost all consciousness of your individuality and you return to the source. And you say things like, my father and I are one. Somebody said that, I remember. Okay? It's really beautiful. Yoga goes from the lowest to the highest. Yoga is the entire path. Very good. Work on these things. Jagrative.